Hi, this is Richard Roop with richardroop.com, and welcome to this month's Ultimate Training Webinar. The topic for tonight is how to live your preferred lifestyle, the secrets of creating your ideal future. This is Richard Roop, and on the line I have with me Coach Keith Young. How you doing, Keith?
I am doing fantastic. I love this topic. I don't think people hear it enough, so I'm really excited about tonight's call.
Well, a lot of these monthly training webinars are on techniques for making money in real estate, okay? And so when we do live events, we spend a lot of time, sharing techniques, but we know that a lot of the techniques and strategies are in the home study courses, in the programs that we offer. So when we do a live event, when we actually have a live seminar, we take the opportunity, since we have people in the room live, to work on their inner game, work on their mental mindset. Because if someone doesn't have the right mindset to pursue their goals, they can have all the techniques in the world and won't take action. And what good is that, right?
That is correct. I mean, it is about your mindset, your inner game, and not that life ebbs and flows, and, it's all about how you come out the other side, and your positive mindset will get you through those ebbs and flows through life to make you create your ideal future, because I love that word, creating your ideal future. I just love that phrase.
Well, before I got into real estate, I was the marketing director for Dr. Tad James in Advanced Neurodynamics. And one of the programs that we put together as partners is The Secret of Creating Your Future. And I encouraged him. We had a great 2-day workshop that we put on, and we would walk through some of the techniques that we're going to talk about tonight, but actually go way beyond what we can do tonight, in an hour or so, as opposed to 2 days. But a very powerful strategies for creating the future that you want. And I encouraged him to write a book about that process. And he wrote a book. It's called The Secret of Creating Your Future. So I can suggest, maybe later on you can Google that and check it out and get some information on that. But we'll refer to that a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about how to get whatever you want. Now, we've been doing this long enough, Keith, right? So we know that there's a certain process that you go through to achieve extraordinary results, results that are unusual in the marketplace. Unusual when you look at all the people walking down the street. I have to say this. A lot of these people are asleep, okay? They're just going through the motions, okay? They're just, they're on the rat race, okay? Yep. And they want a better future for themselves, and they have the ability to create it, but they don't have the focus and the notion and the idea and the drive and the motivation to change that. I mean, they might not even think they have the power. But all of us have tremendous untapped potential to use what we have, which is our brain and our mind, to get what we want. So how to get whatever you want? Now, we know it's a process, and so let's go ahead and break it down. The first step some concepts I want to cover first is there are no unrealistic goals, okay? There are only unrealistic time frames. Mm-hmm. If it's possible for anyone else, then it's possible for you. Keith, have you ever heard of anybody making a couple $1 million in a real estate business?
Yeah, a few times.
And maybe even a couple $1 billion in the real estate business?
Yeah, Donald Trump comes to mind.
Well, if Donald Trump can make a couple $1 billion in the real estate business, guess what? You could too. Yep. He doesn't have anything different. Now, he does have something different. He has a different past. He has different experiences. He has different values and beliefs, okay, that you might not hold. Perhaps, having a couple $1 billion is not important to you. I think Trump is very ego-driven, I would say, and I think that's part of his drive and motivation on that. I mean, there's only so much money you can spend, and we're going to talk about that. But if anybody has ever achieved anything, I would say that it's possible for you as well. The question is it important to you? All goals take time, by definition. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. A goal, by definition, takes time. So we're going to talk about, how to spend your time and how you would like to spend your time, and how are you going to spend the time between now and achieving a goal. How are you going to get the best use out of that time in order to succeed and achieve what's most important to you? So the steps would be, number one, know what you want. We're going to talk about that. Now, how can you get what you want if you don't know what you want? And that's the biggest problem that people have, is they don't have a clear vision of what success means to them, or financial freedom, or what exactly they want next year, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. They don't take the time to ask themselves these questions. What do I want? If I could have anything I want, what would I want? Okay. Number two, decide when you want it. So you're going to put a date on it. You're going to put a deadline on it. You're going to decide when. Because if you could have it right now, it's not a goal. It's what I call a value. You could have, if you wanted to be more confident, you could set some type of goal, but it'd have to be you'd have to have a measure. It'd have to be measurable. How do you know if you're more confident? Well, confidence is a feeling, and you can generate a feeling right now without any time, without any goal. You can feel more confident right now just by remembering the last situation where you had supreme confidence. Okay? So goals are not feelings. Goals are a specific outcome, which is specific, measurable, and timed. Okay? So when do you want it? And by the way, at the end of this webinar, we're going to go ahead and recap kind of an action plan. And I also put the slides on the website for you to download. So on the member side, I'll at the end, I'll go ahead and point that out. But you can download all the slides that we're going to go over, and you're going to want to take action, okay? So we're going to give you some ideas, get you thinking, all right, get you excited, but then you're going to have to take some action to put it into practice. So decide when you want it. Next, number three, have a big why, okay? So you want to know what your big why is, and you want to talk a little bit about that, Keith? What do we mean by getting in touch with your big why?
Okay. Yeah, your big why is the purpose behind why you want something. Because just to want something and not know why you want it, you're not going to have the drive and the motivation or even the desire to want to pursue what you're going after. So your big why is the purpose behind why you want something. So if you want, such as a successful real estate business, and I'd like to make $1 million in the real estate business, well, why do you want the $1 million? In other words, what can the money do for you? So then you would start listing out, well, if I had $1 million, then I could take the vacation of my dreams. I could have a better house and better schools for my children. I could drive the car of my dreams. So getting in touch with that big why is really the driving purpose and the driving force to motivate you after you clarify what you want to go after it and to get it.
Perfect. All right, so once you're, and we'll talk more about that, and once you're in touch with your big why, is you need to make a plan. Okay, now realize that making a plan to get what you want when you want it comes after the how of how to do that comes after the what. So notice number one, what do you want, right? Now, we don't put your blinders on, pull out your unlimited vision here. You know, drop any preconceived notions of what's possible. Don't say, I can't have that because I don't know how, right? Forget about the how, okay?
Right.
Remember, if it's possible for anybody, it's possible for you. They figured out the how, okay? So first you decide what you want, okay? Then the how comes after you decide what you want. So you start seeing the how. You start asking the right questions for the how. You start searching out the how. And that's where you put together your plan, okay? So it's like, okay, I can't have $1 billion because I don't know how to make $1 billion, okay? Well, first of all, when do you want to have $1 billion?
Mm-hmm.
And next, why do you want to have $1 billion? Do you really want $1 billion, or would you be happy with less, right? So, but once you know what you want, the how comes after that. So that's a limitation that people put upon themselves.
Yep.
They don't set certain goals because they don't yet know how to do it.
And how many clients have we helped with that over the years, Richard, where they come in and they want to know every step before they even get started?
Well, yeah, and that's fear. They want to analyze it and have all of the answers before they start taking action, right? And we know that just delays getting started. It delays your progress. It delays your achievement of the goal because you can learn along the way. You get started and you learn along the way. So that's kind of part of the sequence here is once you, and it looks like I have 2 number 4s here, make a plan, okay, then plan your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that means you come up with, okay, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it's a financial goal, and you want to acquire 10 properties, and on this certain date, you want to have all these properties paid off free and clear and just live off the income. Okay, so then you need to plan your actions. Okay, so how are you going to acquire those 10 properties, and what actions are you going to take along the way to pay them off? Okay, so plan your actions. Number 5, execute your plan. So you put together your plan, and, you know, some people say at the end of the year is a good time to make your plan for the following year, right? But there's never, it's always a good time to make your plans right now. Okay, right now, put together a plan to achieve your goal and spend some time putting that plan together, researching the actions that would be part of that plan, the resources, the people, the processes that are available to help you out. Kind of put that together. And of course, if you have any financial goals, we have plans already put together.
Yep.
And so right now we're in the process of working with joint venture partners where we're working with them side by side, and they're just executing a plan, which is basically what we've already put together and hammered out. And it's just a matter about working the plan. So once you have the plan, so you can create your own plan or you can take a successful plan and then execute your plan. Now you got to start taking action and knocking out those things along the way. Number 6, along the way, you're going to not always achieve exactly what you wanted on the exact time frame. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have glitches. You're going to be off track. If you think about a pilot who's flying from, Hawaii to Colorado, what percentage of the time is that pilot off track? 98% of the time, that plane is not on target. It's constantly making adjustments to stay on track. So you get that feedback as you start taking action, and then when you notice something needs change or improvement or redirection, then you can make those adjustments along the way. So if you know what your end result is, if you know what your outcome is, if you know what your goal is, okay, focus on the outcome. I talk to real estate investors all the time that might be a little bit nervous about presenting offers to a seller. And I say, okay, what you're thinking about, if you have fear, you're thinking about all the objections they might come up with and the questions they might ask that you don't have the answer to, okay? So forget about all that, okay? focus on your outcome. Okay, what is your outcome? Mm-hmm. Your outcome is to communicate the best you can the benefits that you have to offer if you buy their house and the benefits of your offers. Okay, so your goal is to communicate the best you can your offers, handle anything that comes up, and then walk away with a seller that is happy and excited about what you propose. That's your outcome. Okay, so focus on the outcome, and then unconsciously, you'll be driven towards that outcome. And that's one of the big keys here. Okay, notice the little guy on the screen with the key going in the lock? Okay.
I like that.
Okay, this is one of the big keys. You don't have to know everything that it takes to get to the outcome and focus on all those details. Focus on the outcome, and naturally you'll be driven towards it. This is why we want you to design your preferred lifestyle. We want you to get clear on the ideal day, the ideal week. Okay, what would that look like? Get crystal clear on that vision, and then focus on that vision. And if you just focus on the vision, just naturally, you'll be driven towards achieving it. You'll make the right decisions. You'll see the right opportunities. You'll take the right actions.
Because what they're really doing there, Richard, is training their unconscious mind for success. When you take the actions that Richard is just talking about and focusing on the outcomes that you want to have, that is training your mind, to your subconscious mind, for success. Because 90 to 95% of what we do on a daily basis is unconscious, which means it's coming from our internal programming that we have currently in there. So you want to program that subconscious for the intentions and the outcomes that you want, so it just flows naturally out of you. That is really key there.
Well, we already know that the mind is a loving servant, like a little child wanting to please you, okay?
Yep.
And it will do anything that you tell it to do. And it will work very hard to get you whatever you focus on.
Yep.
So what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on what you want? Or are you focusing on what you don't want? Okay? Yep. I don't want the seller to get angry at me, right? And so your unconscious mind goes, okay, do this, and the seller will get angry at you.
Yeah,
no, that's not what I wanted. Well, that's what, see, your mind cannot process a negative. So if I tell you, Keith, I don't want you to think about a blue tree, what are you thinking about?
A blue tree.
Okay. All right. So the mind, don't worry. What do you worry about? What are you thinking about? You think about worry. So you want to use language with yourself and others to create the mind pictures. Mr. Seller, when we're all said and done here, I'm going to give you some information to put together for you. Hopefully this will all make sense, and you'll see the benefits that we have to offer, so you can actually sell your house quickly and easily, get this great price, and go on with your life and not have to go through the hassles of your other options. That here's your other options, and you could do that. Or if this works for you, you'll be done with it and you can sleep better at night. Okay. So I'm creating the mind pictures. I'm creating positive mind pictures about my proposal, and at the same time, I'm actually creating negative pictures about their other options. Okay, that's an advanced technique there.
Yeah.
All right. So you're going to get feedback along the way. Now, my philosophy, this is how I operate. There is no failure. There's only feedback. Okay. When you think about Edison, when he was creating the light bulb, it was like 10,000 failures, right, in order for him to get it to work. He kept trying and trying, it wasn't working. He kept trying and trying and trying. What if he gave up? To him, it was just feedback. Here's another way it doesn't work. Now, fortunately, we don't have to go through 10,000 tries. And there are other people that have blazed the way, and we can learn and model other people's success. So if you wanted to make a couple $1 billion, you might really study and find out what's important to Donald Trump. How did he get there? What did he do? What actions did he take? What are his beliefs? Okay? You could model other people that have achieved what's important to you. Okay? And it's nice to have mentors. Okay? One of the inner game calls that we've shared with our members is about, putting on the right mask. Okay? So you go into a situation in your business, and if you have someone that you respect, it's like, okay, this person's very sharp. I know he's very successful in this situation. What would he do, or what would she do? Okay, and you put on their persona, and you put on their personality. You put on what we call their mask, and you can tap into the part of you, which is them, because everybody we meet, there's like a part of us inside us that represents that person, and it's the values and the beliefs that we have picked up from that person, okay? And we can take on that persona. So again, another kind of advanced technique where we spent 2 hours just talking about that. So modeling success, and there is no failure, only feedback. And look, and if you have any mentors that you have a high respect for, maybe get a picture of them, study their biographies, stuff like that. Okay, number 7. As you get feedback along the way, then what you're going to do is you're going to adjust as needed. Like you say, a lot of times you're going to be off track. If you're not tracking your results, if you don't know where you're supposed to be in relationship to this goal down the road, you need to know where you are, and you got to kind of monitor where you are along the way so you can make those adjustments along the way. So that'll keep you on track. All right. Now, when I published that book in 1989 called The Secret of Creating Your Future, it was written by my partner, Tad James. I published it for him, and I illustrated it. And in that book, I actually pulled it up today, Keith, and there's a lot of good stuff in there, all right?
Yeah, I know.
And one of the things in there is what's called the 7 frames, okay? So let's kind of go over that. The 7 frames are, number 1, take responsibility for where you are, okay? And what we taught folks is act as if you're 100% responsible, believe that you're 100% responsible, and if you take 100% responsibility for everything that happens to you, you have the power to change it. But for every percent that you give up and say that I'm a victim or it's not my fault, you're just giving up your power. Now, it may not be your fault. You may be a victim, okay, but don't act that way. Don't believe that way. Go ahead and take responsibility for whatever happened, and that gives you the power to change it, okay? All right, would you say, Keith, in our society today, in the United States, at this point in time, that there's a lot of people out there feeling like they are victims?
Well, according to Romney, it's 47%. But that was a good illustration. I thought when he said that, that's an excellent illustration, because I do believe it's even higher than that, because we're taught to be victims in today's society, and that it's not our fault for where we are. And they have medications for this too.
Right.
But
they got government plans to help you. Rely on the government.
We got entitlements that say, no, we'll take. So this is really important here, and I hope people really get what Richard is saying here, because even though I'll give you a good example of me personally, is because I was a high-level CNC machinist for 33 years. I never dreamed about becoming a machinist. That was not my intention. My mother actually got me this job in a roundabout way and pushed me into this. And I hated it for a long time, but I chose to stay there because that was my comfort zone. So even though I didn't like it, I had to take responsibility for where I was right then and there, because at any given time, I could have quit that career and gone off and to do something else. Eventually I did, but at any time, I was playing the victim. It wasn't my fault. My mother pushed me into that.
So while you're in that position, you decided to stay there, but I would imagine later on someone exposed you to some different possibilities, some different options, and you say, you know what, I'd rather do something else, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So a lot of people, if you go to a college and you study a certain field, you might feel obligated to work in that field for the rest of your life, okay? And it's like, okay, I could be an entrepreneur, but then I'm going to throw away years of college or 4 years of college or, whatever, right? And so, but that's a decision. We all have the power to make decisions. In fact, I got to tell you right now, I'm hoping people, as they listen to this, will make decisions today, okay, about what we're talking about. Because I know people that have totally transformed their lives in an instant just by making a decision because something triggered that decision. For example, someone close to them had some health problems, and maybe that they have a family member and they had some health problems because they were using tobacco, okay? And it got an emotional trigger, right? And then and maybe they were using tobacco too, right? And then they see this, and you say, you know what? I care about my kids. I care about myself. I care about my family. I'm going to stop using tobacco because that's just a decision. So how long does it take to quit smoking? Instantly, less than an instant. It doesn't take any time at all.
Right.
Because at the unconscious level, there is no time. And that's where you make a lot of your decisions. And like you said, 95% of our actions are unconscious. It's just we're just running programs. But guess what? We have full 100% ability to reprogram our thinking. We can decide at any time to change our thoughts. So if I notice that I'm thinking about something that I don't want, I could catch myself and say, you know what, that's not what I want. I want my mind to drive me to what I do want. And so what's the opposite of that? And start visualizing that. You can do it consciously. You can change your thinking, okay? But you have to do it consciously, okay? And if you do it enough, it becomes an unconscious habit. So you look at these people that are highly successful. It looks like they're a success overnight, but when you really study their background, it took them 30 years to become a success overnight, okay? But you can condition yourself to have a successful operation, a mode of operation, and operate on a very high productive, high efficiency, highly satisfying level without even thinking about it by creating that habit. And how do you start a habit? You decide what you want to change, how you want it to be different, and then you consciously focus on that change that you want, how you want it to be different.
Can I give a quick analogy here? Because I think this might solidify it for some people here too. This is about the farmer's field. The farmer's field doesn't care what gets planted in there. So one year the farmer can take some seeds of corn, till the soil, plant the seeds, water it, nurture it, fertilize it. At the end of the growing season, gives them back corn. In the very same field in the following year, he can take some seeds of nightshade, which is a deadly poison. He can till the soil, plant the seeds, water it, nurture it, fertilize it. At the end of the season, it gives him back nightshade. Now, this same field gave him back exactly what he planted in there. Your mind, your subconscious mind, is like this farmer's field. It does not care what gets planted in there, but it will give you back exactly what you plant in there. So if your field is not giving you the desired results now, it is from your years of internal programming. And you now have the conscious decision, like Richard says, because that's where decisions are made, in the conscious mind, to now start taking what we're teaching you tonight and start planting the field that you want to give you back the results that you want.
All right, the next frame. Decide what's important to you. So what's important to you? Keith, what's important to you about your family?
That they're well taken care of, that they're healthy, that financially I can help, take care of them in the future, and my wife and I are going to have a great retirement.
Okay, and let me ask you another way. What's important to you about your family relationships? What things are important to you?
Trust, I think, is right at the top there, and them being able to trust me to make good decisions for them, and that they know that I'm here for them anytime they need me, and they can depend on me.
What else is important to you about your family relationships?
That they love each other, they respect each other, and that they can treat each other like the people that they love and nurture and care for. So respect
okay, great.
is right there.
So let me point out the values that you, just some of them, okay?
Okay.
Trust, love, right? What else was there?
Respect.
Respect. Now, those are examples of things that are important to you, all right, about your family relationships, but they're not goals, okay?
Right.
They're what I call nominalizations, okay? It's a word that you can't put into a wheelbarrow, okay? So you can't put trust in a wheelbarrow, right? You can put examples of trust, but you can't put trust or love or respect in a wheelbarrow. So they're these abstract concepts, okay? So goals are specific. Values are abstract. When I ask you what's important to you, what I'm eliciting is your values, okay? So what's important to you about your business and career? What's important to you about your relationships? What's important to you about your health and fitness? What's important to you about your spirituality? I suggest that you decide what's important to you and actually take an inventory. So I think a very good practice is to have a journal. In fact, I just gave my son a journal, and I told him how to use it, okay? And I'm pretty excited about that, and he's excited about that. And one of the things I told him to write down is his goals and his values, okay? And then journal things, his days and his ideas and stuff like that. But take an inventory of your values. So if you're working on financial goals, then you'd want to ask yourself, what's important to you about your business, okay? Or what's important to you about your career, okay? So inventory your values. And that's one of the things, when we did a 2-day seminar on the secret of creating your future, one of the exercises we went through is eliciting the values on these different areas of life. And we would ask the question, we'd come up with 3 or 4, and then we would continue to ask the question, just like I did with you, to come up with some more. And a lot of times the next ones that come up after the first surface level are the deeper values. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you might come up with 7 or 8 values in a particular area. Okay, and there's no limit, of course, or a right answer. Next would be to write down what you want. And if you studied goal setting, if you studied success, you've heard this over and over, and there's a reason for it. It's because it's called a best practice. Write down your goals. Write down what you want. Okay, write it down. Yes, write it down. Clean up your past memories. Now look, wait a minute. You can write it down, okay, handwrite it on a notepad, handwrite it in a journal. You could type it into a computer. You could type it into your iPad or your iPhone or your smartphone or whatever, okay? But I think really consider getting a journal and writing it down, handwriting these things down. And then carry your journal with you and review your journal, and I think that's a very good practice.
Yes.
Clean up any past memories. Now, there's some advanced techniques that we did in the Secret of Creating Your Future seminar using timeline techniques, showing people how. In fact, we've done this in our boot camps, haven't we, Keith? I've showed people how their timeline was set up. Their timeline is how they unconsciously store their memories. So memories are stored at the unconscious level, and you can access your memories, and they come up automatically sometimes, okay? And now you can actually evaluate how you actually do that and determine, okay, when you have a thought, how do you know the difference between whether it was something that has happened, something that's happening now, something that has happened in the past, or something that hasn't happened yet into the future, okay? And we would notice the difference between these different images that come up, and it usually creates a line, and we call that your timeline. And there's some techniques that you can use to clean up and let go of stuff in the past on your timeline. But what I'm going to do tonight and today is just suggest some things to you and your loving unconscious mind is to actually let go of some of that stuff in an ecological way. But to clean up any past memories, you want to clean up past memories that are not consistent with what you want. So sometimes we have experiences that don't support the goals that we want in the future. You know, that's not me. That's not how I've operated, right? And there's some things in the past that you've made decisions that don't support you anymore because at the time, you know, you're young or whatever, but today you've learned so much and you just don't need to hold on to like negative emotions in past memories of things that you didn't like or don't support you. You can actually let that go. Those are learning experiences, okay? It's how human beings work. We hold on to stuff because your unconscious mind wants you to learn from it, okay? And it won't let go of fear, anger, hurt, sadness. It won't let those emotions roll off you like water on a duck, okay? It won't let those drop away, all right, unless it knows, okay, yeah, you've learned from that, so you can let go of that. The only reason we hold on to those emotions is to remember, okay? Now, you can remember memory, and it can be emotionally flat, okay? It doesn't have to bring up what I call negative emotions because these are emotions that do not support us. They actually take up energy. They actually suck your energy, which is the energy that you can use towards creating your future or use it in the now. We've gone through some of these techniques where people have let go of this stuff, and you see, and they report the energy building up inside them, and they're all energetic because we've released that, and it takes energy actually to hold on to it as well. So clean up any past memories. I'm going to just suggest you do that. You can explore other avenues on how to do that, okay? But you actually have done it in the past without thinking about it, and I suggest that you can do it now without even thinking about it. Let go of that old emotional baggage while you preserve any learnings. Just suggest to yourself, okay, I'll let that go, and I'll just keep the learnings, okay? And again, that's the only reason why we hold on to it. Next is to create your future vision. So remember, we said, okay, decide what you want, know exactly what you want, and now what you really want to do is just create it exactly how you want it, okay? It's think of it as imagining something that you want, but then do it in very specific, you know, what do you see, what do you feel, what do you hear, you know, turn up the brightness, make it exciting, turn up the feelings, okay? And when we're creating goals, it's a good thing to actually imagine stepping into your body, look as if you're looking through your own eyes and experiencing it in the now. So if you have a goal 5 years from now, it's like, okay, imagine going out 5 years, go into your body and experience that event happening, the successful completion of that goal. You know, when we're talking about, you know, a deadline where you're living your preferred lifestyle, okay, what would that feel like? What would you be doing? Okay, what would you be thinking? What would you be saying? Okay, and the more specific you get on that vision, the more drive that it has. Remember, we're given instructions to our mind to bring that to us. So the more specific it is, the better and the more draw it has. And you can always change that vision. In fact, you will. Over time, you will tweak it. You'll improve it. You'll change it. It's not set in stone, okay? So sometimes people don't create goals because they're afraid they're going to beat themselves up. They're afraid that they're not going to achieve it, so they don't set it in the first place. And, you know, what if I wanted a blue Ferrari and I only got a red one? Oh, I'm a failure, right? So create the vision and then let go of the form and let it come any way it comes. And if you decide, yeah, okay, blue's good enough, I'm happy with that, I can paint it, but you know what, I'm so happy I'm not even going to paint it, right? So let go of the form. So creating your future vision is imagining memories for the future. Now, your mind does not know the difference between with a fully associated, as if you're looking through your own eyes, vision. It doesn't know the difference whether it's a past event, a future event, or a now event. It seems like a now event, okay? So if you create a future vision and you're experiencing it as if now, your mind doesn't know the difference, okay? So you can actually create memories of the future. And you've probably done this, again, at a level outside of your awareness. You've created your life in exactly this way, just without realizing it or without conscious effort, okay? So I know that's a lot to sink in, and I'll just let it sink in.
Okay.
All right. Next is to align your thoughts with your goals. Okay. Now, if you take a light bulb, Keith, the rays of light are going off in all directions, okay? Right. It's lighting up the room, okay? Yep. If you take, a 100-watt light bulb, it'll brighten up a room, okay? But if you take a 100-watt laser, it'll burn through steel, okay? And what's the difference? It's the light beams are aligned, okay? So all that energy is in alignment and focused. And it's the same thing with our thoughts. You want to align all of your thoughts so that it's on a goal that you've already decided is very important to you, that you want, that you're committed to. And then so you align your thoughts and your actions follow. So it's like aligning those light waves from a light bulb to a laser. Now, one of the things that can scatter our thoughts is being distracted, right? Not being focused on a goal, forgetting about our goal, being driven. Remember when you said you were working on that one job and it wasn't really what you wanted, it was someone else's decision?
Right.
A lot of people spend their lives working on other people's goals, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and you got to wake up and you got to realize, are you doing this for you or are you doing it for someone else, okay? Now, another thing that takes away your energy is ask yourself, and this is a good thing to journal, is what's incomplete in your life? This is another exercise we put people through. What's incomplete in your life? So if you have a lot of plates in the air spinning, and you're spinning that one, you go over here and spin that one, and you spin that one, oh, the other one's okay, it's slowing down, you got to spin that one, right? If you have a lot of things spinning, it takes a lot of energy to keep everything spinning. So these things that are incomplete, things that you started and never completed, that will suck up your energy as well. In fact, a very simple technique that we use with our coaching clients is if they're feeling overwhelmed, is we have them go ahead and just write it all down, okay? And anything that they can put in their schedule, they put it in their schedule. Anything that they have to schedule later, they put it on a schedule later list. Anything that they decide is not important to them, they get rid of. And they get all of these thoughts out of their mind, right? And the reason why you have all these thoughts in your mind is your mind doesn't want you to forget it. So go ahead and write it down, okay? And then if it's something that's important to you, it's okay, well, when are you going to do it? Go ahead and put it in your schedule, okay? So these things that are incomplete take energy. So anything that you can close out, say, okay, I'm not going to do that, right? I've decided not to do that, then, okay, great. Now you can take that energy and put it somewhere else.
And, there's a good, I did a study on this incompletes in our life and taking up, like these attention units. And this just doesn't have to do with business, but your own personal life as well, whether it's, yeah, one of these days I'll get around to cleaning the garage, or I promise my kids I'll take them here. Jack Canfield had a great thing called the cycle of completion, and he uses the 4 Ds, which is if you can do it in 15 minutes or less, then just do it. If it's something that somebody else can do even better than you, then delegate it. If you doesn't have to be done right away, write it down and put a date on it and then delay it. Or if it's just something that you'd like to do it, but it really doesn't need to be done, and you just keep delaying it and delaying it and delaying it, then maybe you just need to dump it. Get it off your plate and get it written down somewhere, or use one of the 4 Ds, but free up those attention units to focus on the desires that you want, and that'll help you keep moving forward.
Jack Canfield, the 4 Ds, right?
Yep, the 4 Ds. It's called the cycle of completion.
Cycle of completion. I remember when I met him at a marketing seminar put on by Jay Abraham back before I got into real estate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and also, met with Mark Victor Hansen and Tony Robbins and stuff like that. And that was actually a marketing event where Jay Abraham wanted to do an endorsed mailing to our list. And they also went to Jack, and they went to Mark, and those guys were buddies at the time, I guess. And then Tony Robbins. And so we had all of us, we went ahead and decided to do it. But I told Jay, I said, look, if I'm gonna endorse it, I need to know what it is. So I got to go to this $5,000 weekend.
Wow.
As his guest. And then it was incredible. It was a marketing thing. And then so I said, yeah, I'll go ahead and endorse it. We endorsed it, and then I got to go again, which was great with all of our folks. So that was one of the events where I decided to become a marketing consultant. Jack Canfield has great stuff. Mark Victor Hansen has got great stuff. All right, let's see. Okay, next would be play everything at 100%. So if you're going to do it, do it. Do it at 100%. Okay. If you're just going to do it halfway, why even do it?
Why even start?
Play everything at 100%. Okay. In fact, we just got a new coaching client, and he just signed up, and Dina was telling me on the staff call today is that the day he signed up was the day he got he got a hold of Melinda, got his list ordered, got his mailing his mailing campaign lined up the same day, and this was like last week. And today he's on my schedule for a seller presentation. And I'm going, we haven't even done any deal structured, right? So I get him on the line, and he had actually called a FSBO that was advertising online who was offering owner financing. So he called the seller, met with the seller yesterday, got me on the phone today, and we presented an offer.
Yeah, I mean, he's my new client, and he says, do you mind if he says, I got this FSBO, so I actually helped him do the deal structuring on it.
That's right. He did the deal structuring with you, not me, and I'm going, send me the UPG before I talk to the seller.
Yeah, so I told him to send that to you right away, and it was like, wow, I mean, this guy's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and good job on that. The UPG was great.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So that's playing 100%. So we're going to see great things from him. All right. What's your preferred lifestyle? Let's talk about that. Okay. So how do you live your preferred lifestyle? Well, number one, you got to know what it is. Remember the whole process. Okay. Most people haven't visioned this. They haven't created it for themselves, and so this is part of your homework. At the end, we'll give you an action item list, and this is one of the things you want to do is decide what is your preferred lifestyle, how you would like to live. So on so-and-so date, this could be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, or even 10 years from now. Okay, so on this date, what do you want to have? Okay, what do you want to have? The things that you have. It could be, a a great, supporting, conducive family relationship. Okay, that's more of a value almost because it's hard to measure. You know, how do you know if you've achieved it? Okay, but you can go ahead and create. You can stick some of the values in there as far as when you're designing your preferred lifestyle. Okay, yeah, what's important to you, all right? What those type of things. But what do you want to have? That also includes, you know, the physical things. You know, the houses and the toys and you know, maybe you want to have $100,000 in a bank account that is just your play money, or maybe you want to create a foundation to help you know, homeless children or something. What do you want to have? Okay.
Right.
So what do you want to have? Also, then what do you want to be doing? You know, what are you going to be doing with your time? What do you want to be? What do you want to become? Well, actually, it's actually what do you want to be doing? What do you want to do? Okay. Do you want to take your preferred lifestyle? Do you and your significant other want to travel a week out of every month, you know, or 2 months out of every year? Or do you want to, you know, have, you know, what do you want to be doing as far as, you know, perhaps you're spending, you know, all your mornings, you know, volunteering for an important organization, you know. What do you want to be doing? And then what do you want to become? All right. Do you want to become you want to become a speaker, an author? Do you want to become a volunteer? You know, what do you want to become? All right. You want to become a mentor. So what do you want to have, do, and be? What do you want to have, do, and be on a certain date? So that will help create the vision of your lifestyle. But let's get a little bit more specific on that, okay? First of all, what's important to you? And then we'll go. I think it's on the next slide where we're going to get specific on your preferred lifestyle. But, okay, what's most important to you? So we already talked about this. You want to know your big why. And like you said, it gives you the direction, the drive, and the motivation to achieve your outcomes, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing your big why. What's your purpose behind your goals? What's your big why behind your outcome? And ask yourself, what's important to you about your relationships, your career or business, health and fitness, spirituality, and any other areas that you can think of. Okay? And of course, you said earlier that this, you know, doesn't just work for business. In fact, almost everything we're talking about, it works in all areas of your life. Yep. Okay? Now, we are in the business, me, you, and the entire Roop team, is in the business of helping people achieve financial goals. Don't come to me for your health goals. That's not my expertise, okay? There's other gurus out there, all right? Yep. All right. So we're going to talk about financial goals because one of the most important things to me, Keith, is freedom. Yep. Freedom to do what I want, when I want, how I want, okay? My entire life has been about what can I do to create freedom. And I've been pretty much free. I'm pretty much been self-employed all my life after I got out of the military, had a couple jobs, and then, you know, I had some partnerships, like in my partnership with Tad James. I was his partner. We were working together, but it was really, you know, and I kind of did my own thing, but, you know, I didn't have free reign. You know, he made decisions too, and I've had other partnerships. So, but I want to be doing things that meet my values, and my values have always been: how do I help people get what they want? How do I help people have a satisfying life? How do I help people achieve success? That was important to me. After I got out of the Air Force, I got a job as a investment broker, and I did that for about 6 months. And my entire intention was, how do I help people? How do I help people get what they want? So there's a lot of ways to do that. And then I found out, you know what, if I taught this type of stuff that we're talking about tonight, which I did with Tad James, if I helped him promote his material, I would achieve my outcome my purpose, my big why in a lot better way than trying to help people make money on their, investments, okay? It just was a more higher level way to help people. I think a lot of people today need financial help because they're financially struggling. It's crazy. Some people have take it very, very seriously, and I understand that. Unfortunately, we live in a society where we have that financial pressure, but it is a decision. We have that, remember, taking 100% responsible,
right.
that we're not a victim. Okay, if you are responsible, if you have the ability to respond, how you react to anything that happens to you. So someone can cut you off on the highway, and there's a couple ways you can react. You can react and get mad and yell and curse and flip them off, right? Which is what my wife would do. Or, like me, I would be curious. I'd go, wow, that's amazing. I cannot believe this guy is still on the road, and hasn't killed himself. I'd be amazed. I'd be curious. I don't get angry like that and things like that. I have a different reaction, okay, which is a learned habit because I used to flip them off as well. No, I don't think I did. I don't know. All right. So now, of course, there's other things that can trigger me. And when I'm triggered, what is that? That's remember those past memories that we haven't let go of the baggage on? That's your unconscious mind saying, oh, it's the same type of situation. You want to handle this now? And it brings up all the crap and let it go? No, you push it back down, and you keep that same habit. But when you do let it go, it can create a new response, a new ability. So financial freedom is not a notion. Okay, so we're going to talk about financial freedom here. Okay, how do you achieve financial freedom? So for a lot of folks to live their preferred lifestyle, they are financially free. Most people in our Western society here spend most of their time working on making money, paying their bills, and their finances. Okay, a job, a business, a career, investments. That's a lot of people spend their time on that, and of course that's what we do as well because we're working on financial goals for our clients. And of course we have a business, so we're working on that from a business standpoint. But financial freedom is not just this idea. It is an outcome. So what's the biggest problem when people say, I want to be financially free? What is the biggest reason, would you say, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, Keith, okay, is that they don't achieve that goal, or that thing, financial, that notion, right? Financial freedom. Why don't they achieve that yet?
Well, I think there's several reasons, but I think the biggest reason, in my opinion, is they don't believe it's possible for them. I think it's a belief thing, and they're not, and they just don't know how to do it. So just what we're talking about here tonight and setting them up for, first of all, decide what you want. I mean, they don't know that system. But I think even with our teachings over the years and the financial freedom, I think the biggest thing is that they just don't think it's possible for themselves. And it's a notion to them. It's a dream rather than setting it as a goal. It's a dream for them, and a dream is something that we visualize as something off, distant in the future, and something that really is just a dream. It'll never happen. That is right. What I think is the biggest thing.
Right, and there's two things there you said. Number one, you said they didn't know how, and then number two, you said they didn't know what it was. It wasn't a goal. Mm-hmm. I would lean towards, remember, the what comes first, right, and then the
right.
how.
Yep.
So I think, and I know this because we did a 2-day seminar in Colorado Springs called $1 Million Mindstorming, and we actually have that recorded and available. And you could download it online and go through it. And very powerful 2 days.
Yeah.
Where what we did is we set a goal. we made a plan, we planned our work, we worked our plan, and we got feedback. Okay, so we talked about the 5 steps, right? But during that 2 days, we all had the same goal, and that goal was financial freedom. So during those 2 days, we defined what financial freedom meant to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does it mean to you? Get really specific on how do you know if you've achieved it. Okay, so the biggest, and then we went through, okay, and then here's how to, and then we put together plans, and then we also use some of these strategies to that we've already talked about tonight, going through some exercises. Okay, but the biggest reason why people don't have financial freedom as a goal that they've achieved is because they've never set it as a goal. What is the definition of a goal? It's a dream with a deadline. Okay? So there's no deadline on it, and it's not specific enough. Okay, so financial freedom is not a notion, it's an outcome. All right? It's a goal.
Right.
It's a dream with a deadline. And so what does it mean to you? Now, to me, financial freedom is the ability to have, all the financial resources come in that I need each month to live my preferred lifestyle with not having the need to do any work or take any action. Okay, financial freedom to me is that I've acquired enough financial resources that produces all the money I need to live my preferred lifestyle, and I can choose to run my business, work in my business, do work or not. Okay, I don't have to spend my time earning income, making money. Okay, financial freedom would be that you've acquired enough passive income from assets. Typically, the way it works is assets that you own and hold creates the income that you need to live your preferred lifestyle. Now, maybe, you win the lottery and you put a bunch of money aside in the bank and you just live off of, you just spend the money over time, okay? So that's kind of, here's my principle. I have all this money, and I'm just going to, over time, I'm just going to use it all up, okay? The other thing would be actually to have that money in investments that produce income that allows you to live your preferred lifestyle. So that's another key here, okay, is we have to find out how much income we need to live our preferred lifestyle. And we won't know that unless we know what our preferred lifestyle is. Make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
This is not rocket science, is it?
No, not by any means. And people make it more difficult than what it actually is. Because, again, they don't know what you and I have years of training now and years of studying, and they don't and years of doing. And there's an important word there, doing. They don't have our knowledge of this, and that's why we're here, because we have the passion to educate you, and we love to see successes. And by them putting some of these plans into action and following these simple steps, and they are simple, and they are fun, and they're fun to do because you can actually see things unfolding in front of you. And when you start to see that, it gives you more motivation to keep going and going and going. So I just love this stuff because it is stuff that we know, we've lived it, we've done it, and we know it works.
Well, we also know that, and we say this, it's our belief that at least 80% of your success on getting what you want is inner game, is how you think about it.
Absolutely.
Okay? And it's not about knowing all the tips and strategies and techniques and having the tools and the resources. That's 20% of it, okay?
Yep.
Now, if we gave you all of that, you could still fail because of the inner game. Okay, so this is what I call a sledgehammer technique, talking about this stuff. Now, during those 2 days, during the $1 million Mindstorming special event that we did at Cheyenne Mountain Resort, we turned financial freedom for everybody there from a notion into a specific timed, dated goal with a plan. Okay? All right. What if money was no object? All right. So, Keith, what if money was no object for you, right?
Right.
Let's say you just found out that an uncle that you, and actually this is going to sound familiar to you because we know that another program that I did years ago a couple times called $1 Billion Mindstorming.
Right.
And we've discontinued that program, but here's your latest example of it, okay? We're kind of going through some of that. It's not the full process, but it's similar ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But here you go. You just learned that an uncle that you didn't even know existed, okay, passed away, and he left you $987,567,000, okay? And this money, you didn't even know about it, and all of a sudden, apparently he invented the Internet. And,
was this Al Gore? This wasn't Al.
No, he's not dead yet. So, all right. So now you have $987 million in your bank account, okay? So I want you to momentarily, I want you to be selfish, okay? Because when people say, okay, if I had like almost $1 billion, that's almost $1 billion, right? If I had $1 billion, people would say they would give it away, right? Okay, that's fine. But I want you to be selfish for a moment and just assume that this money should be no object to you. You shouldn't have to spend any time making money. This money is to support whatever you want, okay?
Right.
Yep. And, you can later decide how much you do need and give the rest away, but we haven't gotten there yet, right? So momentarily be selfish, all right? And forget completely about growing the money. So we've done this exercise with people. We said, look, you don't have $1 billion, but you got $987 million, okay?
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to do? How are you going to spend your time? What are you going to do? And people start talking about they're going to spend all this time investing their money and managing this money. No. You have more money than you'll ever need, okay? Hopefully. So forget about growing it, right? Investing it, that type of thing. Isn't that enough money, right? So what I want to do is I want to paint the concept is if money was absolutely no object. So some people would want to be frugal and not spend it all, but no, this money is to blow. You can spend it any way you want, but I really want you to spend it on you and your family, okay, and for your lifestyle, okay? And I would say this is probably enough money, right, Keith?
I would think
million?
so.
Okay. All right. So now you got that in the bank, right? Now this is a mental exercise, and this is going to expand your thinking, and this is going to bring riches to you beyond your expectations if you allow it to. It's what we think about that, remember, what we're drawn towards. So we want to think about the ideal situation. So that'd be an ideal situation. So what would be but the question is, do we actually have to attract it? Do we really need that? Well, we'll find out. What would be your perfect week? So I want your perfect week. This is kind of an exercise. I want you to journal this, write this down, and I want you to design your perfect week, okay? And ask yourself, okay, during the week, how would you spend your mornings, okay? So we're getting a little specific, and I want you to get even more specific. But, get really specific on, just like plan out your entire week. Okay, what are you going to do every morning, okay? Or are you going to have any type of routine? Perhaps maybe you would love to do a certain exercise program, health program in the morning, but you don't do it now because you got too much to do at the office, right? Okay. What would you do in the mornings? I work a lot. You know that. I spend a lot of hours working, and just because I'm excited about all the projects that I'm working on. But truth is, I don't always see my family in the morning because I get up early, right? Tonight I'm working late, but I don't get to see my boys before they go off to school and stuff. right? And I would like to do that more, right? And I get, here's the deal. And by the way, this is a good point. There's nothing that prevents me from doing that right now, okay? Yep. So a good thing about going through these, asking yourself these questions and going through this exercise is you're going to find things like, I would want to spend more time. I would like to have breakfast with my significant other every morning, okay? And you're not doing it now. Why not? Okay, well, I like to go in the morning. Well, I'm trying to get, 20 hours worth of work done in 12 hours, or I'm trying to get 12 hours worth of work. You got too much on your plate. So you decide, hey, I'd like to go in later every morning so I can spend breakfast with my family. So remember, that's the what. We haven't decided on the how yet, right? So once you've decided, well, you know what, that would be nice. If money was no object, I'd be doing that. Why am I not doing that now? Well, I need that extra time at the office. Well, okay, how could you free up a couple hours worth of work, take a couple hours worth of work off your plate through delegation, outsourcing, systems, processes, right? You could say, I'd like to free up a couple hours on my schedule. Then you can figure out how to do it. And then you could, without $1 billion, you could be, doing this thing you want to do every morning. Okay, right. So that's going to be a kind of a side effect is some of this stuff does not take any money. And maybe it just needs a little extra money. Maybe it needs no money at all. Maybe it just needs to free up some of your time. Maybe you can spend, waste 2 hours less during your day and go in later, okay? How many times do you waste your time checking your email every 30 minutes? Or, all the time you waste because you're disorganized. Block out a couple hours just to work on getting organized, and you're going to save many, many hours just from doing that. Block out a day to get all your leads organized, just so you're not looking for phone numbers and looking for lead sheets and all of that. So there's time that you want to spend what we call sharpening the saw. So you want to sharpen the saw before you chop down the tree. It'd be a lot more efficient. So you got to take that time out. Now that's a little sidetrack here. We've talked about it recently on some of our Q&A calls and coaching calls. But you want to spend time sharpening the saw before you go to work so that your work is more efficient. So your mornings, I want you to design your perfect week. So what type of things, go ahead and schedule out all your mornings. What kind of activities would you do in the morning? What would you be doing in the evenings, okay, on your perfect week? Okay, what would you be doing on the weekdays? What would you be doing on the weekends? Okay, so there's a little bit of an idea on how to get more specific, but I'd get even more specific than that. Get really specific, as if you were writing, a screenplay for a week that's going to be filmed, and it's an incredible week. It's the most perfect week for you, based on what's important to you. So design your perfect week. That would be one of the first steps towards designing your ideal future. And you are the screenwriter, so make it exactly how you want. Okay? Make it exactly how you want. Now, Keith, do you need an extra $1 billion?
Yeah, I probably could use one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you almost $1 billion. Okay, $987 million. All right?
Okay.
Okay. No, but do you really need $1 billion? Would you be okay with $500 million? Half of that.
Yeah.
$500 million. Do you think that would allow you to live your preferred lifestyle?
That would allow me to live my preferred lifestyle.
Okay, what about half of that, $250 million?
That would allow me to live my preferred lifestyle.
Okay, would you be okay with $100 million?
If I had to, yes, I would be okay with that.
Okay, what if you had to do $50 million? Half of that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or even half of that. Half of that,
yeah,
$25 million.
$25 million.
How many people do you know with $25 million? Or less than that, $10 million sitting aside that in investments that are producing income. $10 million worth of assets, okay? Well, how about $5 million? Okay, Now some people are starting to say, no, I need $50 million or I need $25 million. $5 million is not going to do it. Really? Do you know? Have you figured it out? Have you analyzed that? Okay, let me ask you. if you had $5 million set aside, what would that do for you? Okay. Well, let's take it down one more notch. Let's take it down to $3 million. Okay? What would happen if you had $3 million and you could go out and get 10% annual return? Do you know any ways to get 10% annual return on your money?
Yep, I know a few here. I know one in particular.
Okay, so we're in the fortunate position where we know that any money that we can raise, we can earn at least 10%. And we can do it actively, we can do it passively. And if you don't know how, just give us a call. We'll show you how to do it. In fact, I can show you how to, if you're doing this real estate business like the way we do it, we can show you any money you want to get a good return on. I'll show you how to get a guaranteed 35% return on any money you want to invest. And that is it's not really an investment opportunity. It's a strategy that you do on your own in your real estate business. So, but you could definitely loan your money out to me or anybody else, any other real estate investor who wants no bank qualifying funds to buy a house with $100,000 profit in it, right? And that's after the cost of the 10%. So there are tons of people that would give you a 10% return well secured, okay? And there's tons of ways to do that. But, in fact, we can get more than that. But $3 million, 10% annual return, that would give you about $25,000 a month if you were just getting interest on that, 10% interest, okay? $25,000 a month. And if you went ahead and pulled out $32,000 a month, that would amortize over 15 years. So you could actually have $32,000 every month for 180 months, but then your $3 million would be gone. If you're only getting $25,000 a month, that's interest only, so your $3 million would still be there at the end of 15 years. But so $3 million could give you between $25,000 and $32,000 a month, okay? And passive income, okay? Now, Keith, imagine you had an extra $25,000 a month coming in, okay? And this is money you can spend. You don't have to save it up. This is just income coming in to allow you to live your preferred lifestyle. So I want people to think, okay, if you had $25,000 coming in without doing any work, what kind of home would you want to live in? What kind of vehicles would you have? Okay, what kind of food and dining would you prefer? In fact, if I had more time, I enjoy cooking, and I probably need to eat healthier. So since I enjoy cooking, I would take the time to go shopping, research recipes, create healthy meals for my family, and I would love doing that. Okay. What prevents me? Well, I work. Okay. All right. And that's what prevents a lot of people from eating healthy is the time it takes to eat healthy.
Sure. Yep.
You got to plan. You got to shop. You got to prepare. It's so much easier to just go to McDonald's and get a quick burger, right? Health. What kind of things would you do health-wise with the income coming in to maintain your health? Travel. Would you do any travel? Now, boat, RV, plane. Now, this is something that I want to point out. When we did the program, not the $1 Million Mindstorming, and sorry for the names being the same but similar, $1 Million Mindstorming was a weekend we did about creating financial future goal and a plan. $1 Billion Mindstorming was to shift people's thinking, like we're doing now about this $1 billion, on how much money do you actually need to live your preferred lifestyle. And someone said, what would you do with this money? Well, I would go buy a boat or I'd buy a plane, right? Now, do you really need to own a plane? Now, how many times would you use a private jet? Now, perhaps if you had a private jet, it depends on your lifestyle, but maybe you only use it 4 or 6 times a year, okay? Maybe, right?
Right.
If you decided, okay, I don't really need a private jet, but I would like to fly around on a private jet. Well, how often are you going to fly around? Well, at least 4 times a year I'd fly around on a private jet. So you don't have to take this money. You don't have to have the money to buy the plane and maintain the plane. you can just lease the plane or borrow the plane, rent the plane when you need it.
Right.
Same with a boat, same with an RV. Don't go buy an RV. I mean, a really nice one, a $100,000 RV. Don't go buy a $100,000 RV. Go rent one of those $100,000 RVs about as many times as you're going to use it. You know, and some people, they buy these RVs and they just sit around and they don't use it, right?
Right.
And you have that money tied up. Well, we're not talking about, so if you could just rent the RV when you wanted it, you would need less money. You would need less income. So instead of needing $50 million to buy all these toys and all this stuff, you need less money if you're just going to pay for it when you used it. Okay? And I got to tell you, Keith, a lot of people think it's all about money. It is not all about money. Okay? Once you've made millions of dollars, once you've bought the nicest house in the neighborhood, bought any, you just go out and you just find whatever your perfect property and you just go buy it. You go out, you need a new car, you go out the absolute best car you can research and find and decide on. And money is no object. When you have already done that, and I'm speaking from experience, when you've done that, you realize it's not about the money. That having the nicest car or whatever is not that important. Having the nicest house is not that important, okay? The other things are important. And it's sometimes in the beginning, for me, it was like ego, and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, you kind of get that out of your system, and there's other things that are more important to you. Just like I'm telling you, take an inventory of your values. Design your perfect day, your perfect week, and then decide how much money that takes. Then decide how much investments do you have needing to produce that income so you can do it passively. Then go out and get those assets, okay? Now we're in touch with our big why. We have the drive, the motivation, okay, to go out and make that happen. We have reasons, and I want you to get really clear on all your reasons. Just don't say, hey, yeah, I'd like to have, breakfast with my wife every morning. That would be a nice lifestyle change. No, get really clear on why is that important to you. Well, if we did that, we would have a much, closer and stronger relationship. She would feel, that I care more about her. Our love would grow. It would improve my sex life. Okay, now that's important to me. Okay, so, all right. So how much if would you need each month if you were debt-free, okay, so it's not you don't need all this money to pay your bills, okay, you just need this money. Well, some bills like you do need money for your utilities or any subscriptions you have or that type of thing, but not debt bills, okay?
Right.
So things that you choose and that you can turn off, okay? Debt, you can become a slave to debt. The only debt that you want in your life is the debt that produces income, more income than the cost of the debt. That's investment debt. That's what we do. We create investment debt. We have a very specific plan. All the houses that we buy, we're not using our own money. We're using other people's money. We're going into debt. But we very specifically determined what the house can afford to pay back. So we're not paying it back. The house is going to pay back the debt. And isn't that exactly what we do with our deal structuring with the free and clear model, the free and clear investing, the ultimate strategy? Every single deal that we do, every single offer we do, we know exactly how that money is going to be paid back. Okay, and it's not going to come from our efforts. It's going to come from the house. Okay, so that's the only debt you want is investment debt that gives you that makes you money, that gives you a higher return than the cost of the debt. Okay, so you want to get rid of all your consumer debt. So a lot of the people that we're working with, they need to raise cash now to pay off debts to get away from that debt slavery. And so many people are struggling with being slaves to debt. It's like we're supposed to. If you listen to the government on the solutions to the economy, it's to spend more and go into more debt. Okay? That is not the answer. Okay. So if you were debt-free, I want you to decide and analyze this and decide and actually make a list of all the things that you would buy each month, all the things that you would do each month, all your expenses each month to live your preferred lifestyle. And most people, when we put them through this exercise, they come up with between $15,000 and $30,000. Okay, and that's the majority. All right.
Yep.
There's a few. Okay, and get real clear on how much you need. So if you needed $25,000 a month, we know $3 million in the bank, well, not in the bank, but in investments producing 10%, is going to give us that $25,000 every month without doing anything. So I'm going to recap kind of an action plan here, Keith. Is there anything that came up for you while we've been talking that you want to kind of throw in here on stuff we've already covered?
No, I think just the stuff we've covered. I mean, the people need to really understand that this is a lot simpler than they think it is. It's just that I like this taking action now. The first, decide on what you want, and getting in touch with the big why. I mean, I think that's really, really important, because if you don't have that big why you want something, that's where a lot of people lack the big why. And I love the journal idea, by the way. I suggest everybody get a journal. In fact, on some of my clients, I have them keep a success journal, because, again, that's developing that success mindset. And just write down a success that they had during the day, no matter how small it is. Then start your day off the next morning with reading the success that you had. The same thing with gratitude. Just find out what you're grateful for each night as well, and then read that again before you start your day the next morning, right at breakfast or whatever, because that starts your day and gets that mindset and that inner game going in the right direction. So I think that if they start just taking small steps at a time and start implementing some of this stuff, they're going to be amazed in how short of a time that they're going to see some successes in their life.
Well, just about anything, any question that you have, you can get the answer to. And so we're giving you a framework here. As you can see, what we just went through and what we're just going to recap here, that we could spend 2 days on it, 3 days on it, right, and have a great time and get even further into the details. And we have a lot of great stuff we could stick in here from all of our coaching platinum days and our inner circle or inner game calls and all of this stuff that on the website, if you search under inner game, well, and I'll point that out here in a second, there's inner game resources, and we have programs, phenomenal platinum days that we've done that we've only done once.
Yeah.
And it's so we're going to have to actually start doing repeating some of this stuff. But
yeah,
we are sticking from that information, from those events, from our experiences, we are sticking in here tonight and today and in other things that we do. It's in there, But if we spend, 2 days on a phenomenal topic, most of the detailed content is in that event or in that program. Just like that $1 million Mindstorming event that I did. We did it once, okay? We recorded it. And we've never really promoted it or anything like that, but it's available to folks, and I'll point people out to that. And it's a life-changing program to go through.
Right.
But it's not something you just listen to. You have to take action. So tonight is not about just listening. Hopefully, I have piqued your thinking, both your conscious thinking and your unconscious thinking. So really the change happens at the unconscious level. So hopefully, unconsciously, you're going to pick up some shifts and changes and stuff that your supporting mind will want to do for you, just because it's there to support you. It actually is there to support you, and I recognize that. So taking action, let's go ahead and recap this. So basically this would be a little checklist, and do a personal assessment of where you're at, okay? Because in order for you to get to some destination, you need to know where you're starting from, okay? And we do this, okay, none of this, like you said, this is simple. Yeah, and a lot of this you might have heard before, but do you actually do this stuff? Okay. Now, we do it all the time in our coaching program. Okay. When someone comes into our coaching program, we do a personal assessment. So we don't have them do it. You know, we don't leave it up to them. We say, okay, here's your initial assessment. Fill this out, share it, and then you're going to talk to your coach about it, right? That's what we do in coaching, right? That's where we start, a personal assessment. In fact, it even starts when you're talking to one of our program advisors. They're going to do an assessment. If you're not in our coaching program and you want some help and direction on achieving your goals, give us a call. Call Dina. Call us and talk to Dina. She's our senior program advisor, and she'll do a free personal assessment on your goals and what you're trying to accomplish, and she'll point you to the free stuff that we have that you can tap into, and she'll point you to our lowest cost membership support programs all the way up to our joint venture partner program if you're ready for that. So
Richard, no matter what your goals are, your financial goals, you have to have a vehicle in order to get there. And it doesn't matter what vehicle you get there. We just happen to know real estate is probably the best vehicle to get there and a lot quicker, but you still have to have a vehicle to get there. And it starts with this personal assessment. So I encourage everybody to try to give Dina a call at least to get this assessment in.
Okay. And now, in fact, these steps apply to any type of goal, okay? Yep. And then I'm going to point out the differences, if it's a financial goal. So this applies to anything. Do a personal assessment. Do a personal assessment. Then decide what you want to be, do, and have.
Yep.
Then pick a date, which is your deadline, which is basically, okay, on this date I have achieved this. And that's a good way to write your goals, as if you've already achieved them, as if you're reporting it from that date, okay? So pick a date to create that future memory, right? And then write it down, like we talked about, and then review it often. Now, we can get real specific on how often to review and all this, but review it often. Next, create milestones. So if you have a goal, let's say you have a goal, your goal was to put $100,000 in cash reserves in the bank, okay? You know that halfway there you're going to need $50,000, and halfway there you're going to need $25,000. So those are milestones. Okay, I'm at 25. Okay, I'm on track. Okay, I'm 3/4 of the way towards the date of my goal, but I only got half my goal, so I better step it up. Okay, but that halfway through you might be halfway to your goal. I've actually been talking with potential joint venture partners, and our goal as a joint venture partner is actually to do 4 deals together within 12 months. And a lot of people are excited, and they say, okay, can we do it in 6 months? Well, yeah, you can work on that, right? You can make that your goal. But what's important to me is that we get 4 deals done in 12 months, okay? Because people are maybe new to the concept, there's some setup, there's some growing, there's some learning, and unfortunately all the learning is while we're doing deals. Okay, if our goal is to do 4 deals a year, that's our goal, 4 deals a year, right? But our milestones might be, okay, within 6 months we have our first deal, and we're on track to do a deal every other month after that, right? So instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do 1 deal a quarter, okay, but maybe that first quarter you haven't got your phone set up, you haven't decided on, you haven't got your marketing out yet, there's a little bit of setup time. So to achieve that first deal in the first quarter and do a deal every quarter for 4 deals a year might not be the way to go. You might say, okay, I'm going to do the first deal within 4 months or 5 months or even 6 months, and then I'm going to do the rest of those within the next 6 months, right? So create the milestones in your business for your goal. Then choose a financial or wealth vehicle. Like you just said, Keith, if you have a financial goal, so this would be for money or time freedom goals, is you need some type of financial or wealth building vehicle. So you wouldn't necessarily need this for a health goal, but if it's a money goal, which is mostly what we're talking about here, you need a vehicle. And, yeah, I have been buying houses full-time since 1996. I bought over 500 houses. I've studied all the different strategies and systems out there. I've gotten away with whatever they're promoting now. I don't know what's the latest bright, shiny object that people are promoting. But a lot of promoters come to me and says, look, promote my package. It sells really good. And I said, well, how's it doing for folks? It could sell really well, but does it actually deliver? And that's what's important to me and us. And so we know I buy and sell houses today, and what we do in our programs and what we suggest people in real estate investors do to generate cash now, cash flow, and cash later to achieve their financial goals and stay out of trouble and reduce their risks and to make sure they make money on every deal is exactly what I do. In my business is what we teach. So I do the same thing in my business. I still buy and sell houses. I'm going to go look at 3 houses on Friday, okay? 2 of them, the seller has already agreed to sell. The other one is a free and clear seller. She loves the income on the property. She's had it for 30 years, but she's up in her years. She doesn't want to manage the property anymore, and she's actually sad that she's not going to get this income anymore, and she doesn't know where to invest the money. I kind of had those discussions with her on the phone before we met and saw the house, and I haven't told her, hey, good news, I'm going to give you the income that you were getting, and you're going to sell at top dollar, and you're not going to have to fix up the house and market it, and you're not going to have to be a landlord anymore. That's going to be great news for her, right? Yep. And this is like the perfect prospect. The other guy, he's liquidating his properties, 2 income properties. So this is what I do in my business. You need a money-making vehicle. This is the best money-making vehicle I know. Going after high-equity deals, buying them with creative financing, funding them with none of your own money, having the seller take back long-term, low-interest rate financing, which we can show them it's better for them to get a high price above market value than a higher interest rate, because we can pay you any interest rate you want, but if you take this low rate, we can pay you a premium price, and you're going to save money on taxes that you have to pay on that interest, because taxes are taxed at normal income rates, and the gain on the property might be 0, or the gain might be only like 15% capital gains as opposed to a higher rate on interest. So that's just an example of, we can offer a seller benefits when buying houses, all the benefits of not having to market, sell it themselves, fix it up, all that things. They have to be in a position where they like the idea of getting a premium price and being in a position where they can wait for their money. Not everybody's like that, right, Keith? We don't get 100% closing ratio. So it's a numbers game. So if someone goes out there and makes 3 offers, 3 sellers said no. Okay, go to number 4, because we know it's a numbers game. So it's about expectations. So we want to create the proper expectations for folks. We try and do that the best we can. Keith, I don't think this guy told me. I know this guy misunderstood you, but one of my new clients called me up. He just got his mailing out, and he sent out 600 postcards, and he thought he was going to get 60 calls, which is a 10% response. And I said, no. We're happy with a 1% response.
Yeah.
So he said, Keith told me I'd get 60 calls. No, I don't think you understood him.
No, he didn't.
Keith's an expert. I don't think so. So that's about proper expectation. And then I explained to him, and we analyzed the numbers, and he had a good, decent response from his mailing. But he was expecting more. All right, so you need a vehicle. So if you need a financial or wealth-building vehicle, check into our programs, because that's what we got, and it's what I would recommend. But you need one. If it's not us helping you out, you need something. Maybe you already have something, and maybe you just need to work it better, okay? Then you got to track your progress. Okay, track your progress like we talked about, and then never give up. Okay, never give up. Now, you can change a decision, but never quit. Okay, you could, like, let's say, you were committed to put $100,000 in your bank account in 90 days. Okay, we've had people, set those goals and achieve those goals. And but what if you were like, you're going to do that in 90 days? That's in 3 months. So what if 2 months down the road, you only had half of that, and you just didn't think you were going to get the other 50 within the next 30 days? Now, you have a couple choices. Normally, if the goal is really, really important to you, right, like we decided,
right,
it's in alignment with your values, you're committed to it, but it is important to you. Like, if your life depended on it, it would be important to you. You would do whatever it took, okay? But a lot of times your life does not depend on it, and you might decide, you know what, I got 30 days left, and I wanted to take a week off with my family, and if I do that, I'm not going to be able to kick butt and achieve this goal. So I'm going to be happy with $75,000, and I'm going to take a week off with my family, right? So
right.
You can make those decisions. That's okay. You can change things along the way as long as it's a decision. As long as it's like, I'm a victim, I couldn't do it, I'm a failure, you can make those decisions. But if it was life-threatening, or if it was you were so committed and it was so important to you, then you would just do whatever it takes to achieve it. So never give up, never quit. And then finally, leave the world in a better place. And I just kind of wrote that at the end there, but what that really means is do good business, treat people well, improve other people's lives, never take advantage of anybody, be honest, have high integrity, leave the world a better place. So to recap, Keith, on this Take Action plan, do a personal assessment, decide what you want to be, do, and have, pick a date or a deadline, write it down, review it often. That means like every day or several times a day. That will keep you motivated. Create milestones, so little points along the way that you need to achieve. Choose a financial or wealth-building vehicle for your money goals. Track your progress along the way, so if you're off track, you'll know it, and you can get back on track, and never give up and leave the world in a better place.
I like it.
So we're going to wrap things up there. Thanks so much, Keith. Awesome job for helping me out here. I really appreciate your input and expertise.
Oh, my pleasure. This is what I'm passionate about. I'm also, I went and got my certification for Law of Attraction Coaching which is inner game and personal development. So this is my passion right here. Keith,
have a wonderful week. Have a perfect week.
Have a perfect week.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and
right.
We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Good night, everyone.
All right.
Bye.